Make 3 points to kind of fuel the conversation. The first one is racial profiling is not a broken system. Racial profiling is proof that the system is working. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Racial profiling is as American as cherry pie. Trivia question, who said that? Oh, nobody from the panel can say anything. J. Edgar Hoover, if he did, he got it by wiretap from the person who actually was the first to say it. Who said it? What's that? Nope. No, not Malcolm X. Go ahead. H. Rap Brown. Now, he said violence is American as cherry pie, so I made a little bit of a revision because racial profiling is a form of violence, whether it's violence or not. It's a form of torture, it's a form of oppression, it's a form of containment. So my first point is that racial profiling is no action in American as cherry pie. Second, racial profiling is the starting line for 2 diversion programs. Now these are evil diversion programs. The first one is the diversion of people of color from promise to prison. It's the starting point. We focus a lot on incarceration, but where does it begin? It begins with the stop and the frisk and the piling on of charges and warrants and the loss of jobs as the basis of it. And it snowballs and snowballs to the point where someone said, here, 3 million people in New York have been infected is the right word, and billions across the United States who are paying consequences for activities that other parts of the community are doing. The second diversion is racial profiling is a diversion of corporate criminals from prison to profit. The diversion of corporate criminals from prisons to profit. And what do I mean by that? We couldn't even begin to count the potential criminality of that 1 or 2% who were stopped and frisked and had some kind of charges. The criminal cost of crime for that 1% of people is blank zero compared to the high level of corporate crime that is going on in this country. And it used to be hard to talk about. When we said savings and loans, some people knew about that. Billions of dollars that cost us. Now all you have to do is say Enron and all of that false corporate accounting, and even that got blown out of the way by talking about the highest level most recently, which is what? What's the corporate crime that's gone on this time? Madoff was one little crumb. Do you notice that who did they prosecute? They prosecuted a Jewish man and an South Asian. Now they picked on those 2, but who were the real players? Not just one Jewish guy in his program and a South Asian in his program. Investment banks, major corporations, billions of dollars. The Village Voice has an article now that says $13 trillion are sitting in offshore accounts. The proceeds of these mortgage frauds, the proceeds of these derivatives, a form of trading that was made legal by politicians accepting money from the criminals. What if people in the community now came in and gave them money that said, from now on, crack and heroin is now not part of the prosecution of the criminal system? They had the clout to decriminalize their crime and left us holding the bag. So this stop and frisk is a diversion to take the attention off of this major crime and have everybody down here looking in the community for small time stuff. And what is the motive of it? The motive of it is profits and money. First of all, financial gain. Police departments make a ton of money by writing these tickets. They don't want to write them to people they don't like. They want to write them to people who don't have much power. Second, it's strong support for the prison industrial complex. You all know that already. The tons of money that are going into judges, that are going into prosecutors, going into police, the building of jails, 99,000 prison cells. You know all that. It's also to prevent the transition of street organizations from vehicles of crime to vehicles of social change. Read Agents of Repression by Ward Churchill and learn about how this is all an attempt to stop the political consciousness of street organizations who will stop doing whatever they've been doing and start looking at the power structure and starting to move on behalf of the 99. Last, it's diversion of attention from government-involved drug dealing. Blame the people who ended up holding the small bags and not those who were bringing it into the country. Don't take my word for it. Read Dark Alliance by Gary Webb, who was originally an investigator against racial profiling for the state of California. And I worked with him, and he did reports on racial profiling. He left the state government and began to investigate drug dealing, importing into the country. So read The Politics of Heroin and his book, Dark Alliance, and learn who the real victims of the drug war are. Now, just some action items to fuel the conversation. Some of them have already been said. Know this history. Understand the reason why they call it the new Jim Crow is because this has been happening for 100 years. So that tells you that reform is not going to be the answer. The answer is going to be abolition of the prison system, abolition of the police department. Oh my God! We have to think about wiping this entire structure off so we have a new vision instead of moving in different captains and lieutenants and mayors and all that. We have to wipe this off the table and start fresh with our ideas and push for reform towards a vision of an entirely new police department, an entire new system of justice. Learn your rights. Know your rights. I'm going to go through this list fast because I don't have time to explain it. Know your rights. Teach others. Stand up for your rights. Join organizations. Form coalitions. Survey your community to find out what their needs are and build a base from what they want and not what you think is important to them. Also, protest. Join Occupy movements. Stop falling for double standards. Do community outreach. Collect information. Use FOIAs and open record requests to get the data that you need. Lobby. Also, fold human rights into the issue and stop just talking about constitutional and civil rights. Also, push for civilian review. Push for independent prosecutors and for independent monitors of police systems and not just places that'll take individual complaints. Also, file ethics complaints against prosecutors and defense lawyers and public defenders who fail to take on these kinds of cases. Right. Develop young attorneys by bringing them in and getting their consciousness in the community and not having them trying to join the 1%. And finally, just open your eyes to the larger parts of the system that are doing this as part of a machine and not as part of an accident. Sorry I took a little bit of extra time. Thank you.